just believe that when, in my opinion, people step over the line and are being hypocritical as we wage this political battle on a daily basis, that it needs to be called out when we see it. And here's another example of that. And I actually, when I first came across this, I wasn't going to bring it up. First glance, I blew it off because I've seen this type of stuff before. It's on Blog for Arizona, blogforarizona.com. The link is up on my page at 1041thetruth.com. You can also find it on Facebook as well. I would encourage you to go to that actual link, not to give them hits, but to comment on how inappropriate you think this is, because I believe it needs to be called out when you see it. For those that haven't seen the photo yet, it's a photo of a woman stomping on a baby. Now, the foot's not touching the baby. The baby is lying on the ground, and there's a woman standing above it. It is a real photo, by the way. The baby is okay. Producer Tristan was able to get the backstory of this particular photo. But this photo was used by Michael Bryan on Blog for Arizona in regards to an article of the Republicans in the Arizona Congressional Delegation slashing the food stamp funds. Okay? Now, they're entitled to their opinion. They're also entitled to put up the photo that they'd like. I will call out and say this is gross, inappropriate, and minorly offensive. Your article, Michael Bryan, wasn't strong enough to stand on its own merits, that you had to go and post a heinous photo of a woman stomping on a baby to try to bring attention to it? Yeah, it worked. Not sure it's the attention that you wanted. And what if a Republican had done this? What if this had been a conservative Tea Party right-wing blog that had used this photo to try to criticize a Democrat? You tell me what kind of outrage it would spark. Let's go to the phones, and we'll talk to Christine. Good morning, Christine. Good to hear from you.
Hey, John, I can answer that question. I can actually answer that question about going after Republicans. I have a story where when we were just doing the referendum drive against Medicaid, there's a radio guy up in Phoenix named Broomhead who sided with the governor.
That's right.
So he puts out this disparaging letter against the PCs, calling them names, and the governor puts out a letter. So I was on the phone with the reporter, and I said, you know, they're calling us names. And I was told this is hardball politics. Okay?
Right.
So then I termed the word brewer sucks.
Right.
They came after me. You know, that was wrong. I was being disparaging. It was extreme. The word brewer sucks. I was called by the party. I was called by top consultants and strategists through the states, told I shouldn't go that route. They all knew we were going to lose anyway. I should be more graceful. And I'm like, my response to them was, well, what should my volunteers call people who spit on them and cuss at them?
Right, right. Yeah.
But I was taken out for using that word. Could you imagine if I put a picture out there of Ethan or aborting a baby?
Oh, I know. I can't even anybody using this photo. It's the hypocrisy here. It's unbelievable. You know, and they should. You know, and here's the thing. In my opinion, they should be called on the carpet for it. Well, the merits of your article, you know, the bill won't become law. It will likely become a basis for compromise, still crippling cuts to the program. It goes and talks about many families will fall into poverty. Their children will know hunger because of the heartless, unchristian, immoral votes of these men. Writes Michael Bryan, who posted a real photo of a woman stomping on a baby attached to his article. Heartless? Immoral? Shouldn't throw stones at glass houses, dude. And it's a real photo, too. It was a shocking moment, according to the article I have here in front of me, dated May of 2010. By the way, did he just go on Google and just did he Google search, or is this just in a file that he has for shocking photos when his articles aren't good enough on their own merits to not warrant putting up a photo next to it to try to bring attention to it? This was the shocking moment of a woman accused of stealing a mobile phone in China, threw her baby on the ground, and stomped on it. The hideous incident came after a high school student had challenged the woman and a female friend, both holding babies, after being told by witnesses that they had stolen her phone. The confrontation turned physical. Officers arrived. For a few horrifying moments, the tiny child was left crying in the middle of the road as the woman was pulled away. Miraculously, the baby escaped uninjured. 751-1041. Let's go and talk with Jim. Good morning, Jim. Welcome to 1041 The Truth.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you doing, sir?
Good. Yeah, I tell you what, the Republican greedy class there doesn't have a patent lock on this, because I know I've heard from a lot of blue-collar workers under TUSD, and they're the flagship for liberalism, probably anywhere in the world, be the flagship for liberalism. What they did to their blue-collar workers in the last 8 years, or even less, especially since they heard about the 17 million deficit. It's just a shame what they've done to those people.
Thank you for the call this morning, Jim. The article goes on. Michael Bryan says at the end, shame on each of you, Representative Gosar, Frank, Solomon, Schweikert. I challenge each of you to answer for your immoral vote to consign millions of our fellow citizens to poverty and hunger. Now I'll get to addressing the whole merits of the details of the article in and of itself. And, you know, as I've said before, you cut the corruption and the waste and the fraud that takes place in the SNAP program, and you could cut it even further. You know, this should be a call by Democrats who are upset with these cuts to say, we need to ensure that we get rid of the fraud because of what Republicans have done. I mean, if they were smart, if they had half a brain, if they weren't spending time posting shocking photos to attempt to bring some attention to their lame blog posts on Blog for Arizona, then they would stop to think that if you really wanted to come across as the bleeding heart liberal you think that you are, then why wouldn't you stop and go, because of what has been done in the slashing of funds to the SNAP program, we need to make sure that we cut back and we examine and stop the rampant fraud and abuse of the welfare system so that the people that truly need it can get it. But they don't really care because they're not that smart, because it's still all about power and political gains to them. And that's why they feel it's okay. Amongst themselves, they probably think it's really clever. He probably thought it was really clever, patting himself on the back. Oh, that's good, talking in the mirror. Good job, Michael Bryan. You put down a horrible picture of a baby being stomped on and brought attention to this article. Yeah, people will hear what I have to say. Nah, you just exposed yourself for the idiot that you are. See, that's a good example. See, he acted like an idiot, and he gets labeled an idiot. That's how that's supposed to work. More of the John Justice Show coming up on 1041 The Truth.